Council meeting for November 16th, 2021. Call the meeting to order and ask our city clerk for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Ashcraft is absent. Councilmember Chen.
Present.
Councilmember Griffiths.
Here.
Councilmember Kalani. Present. Councilmember Matucci.
Here.
Councilmember Walser.
Here.
Mayor Fury.
Here. The council will now recess to closed session to confer with the city manager and the city attorney on the agenda matters listed under 14A, conference with labor negotiator, 14B, real property, conference with real property negotiator, and 14C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. A closed session on these matters is authorized by California Government Code sections 54957.6, 54956.8, and 54956.9D4. We will return at 6:30. Good evening. Welcome to the Torrance City Council meeting for November 12th, 2021. We have been in executive session. I'm sorry, November 16th, 2021. We've been in executive session. Is there anything to report, Mr. Santana?
Thank you, Your Honor. No, there is not.
Okay, we call the meeting back to order, and I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight, whether you're here via Facebook, YouTube, live stream, or city cable. Tonight we are doing our hybrid meeting model with the City Council and staff meeting in person and the public tuning in remotely. Pursuant to Assembly Bill 361, Governor Newsom's proclamation of a state of emergency on March 4th, 2020, and the order of the Health Officer of the County of Los Angeles Department of Public Health, which was revised September 28th, 2021. The City Council meeting will be in the hybrid format. The City Council and staff will be meeting in person. There have been people attending the City Council meeting who appear to be ill since they're coughing and sneezing in the audience. And in order to protect the public, the City Council and staff, the City Council chamber is closed to the public in the interest of maintaining appropriate social distancing and in order to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19. The hybrid model of the City Council meetings will allow the community to participate from the safety and comfort of their own homes. In fact, last week, more residents were able to participate than they had been over the last few months. So that's a success. We are still fighting COVID-19. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has now authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for the prevention of COVID-19 to include children 5 through 11 years of age. The authorization was based on the FDA's thorough and transparent evaluation of the data that included input from independent advisory committee experts who overwhelmingly voted in favor of making the vaccine available to children in this age group. Just as we encourage you to protect yourself, we also ask you to protect your children. Continue wearing your mask and following public health orders. Let's make the upcoming holiday season a healthy holiday season. Recently, we've been asking you for your input. We want to know what essential services are important to you. As you may know, we've been working to bring the city's budget into balance to build financial stability. To do so, we have already approved 5% budget cuts across the board. If we don't identify additional funding, that could mean slower 911 emergency response times, fewer on-duty firefighters to respond to life-threatening emergencies, and fewer on-duty police officers for neighborhood patrols, reduced repairs to streets and potholes, and eliminating after-school programs and recreation for youth, teens, and seniors. These budget cuts that would change the character of our city and would have a significant impact on the safety of Torrance residents and their quality of life. We have heard from more than 400 of our residents, and we still want to hear from you. Your input is important to us. So please take our survey or learn more about maintaining our essential services by visiting torranceca.gov/essential services. We continue to run normal business for our residents and communities to keep Torrance moving forward. It is important to us that you have an opportunity to voice your comments during this pandemic. Public emails will continue to have a deadline of 2 p.m. on the day of the council meeting you wish to comment on. And thank you to those of you who have met today's deadline. They've all been forwarded to the council as supplemental material and will be entered into the public record. Any emails submitted after the deadline will still be added to the public record, but clearly at a later date. For those of you tuning in via Facebook, YouTube, live stream, or city cable, you may participate by calling in to the public input hotline. The number is 310-618-2404, and it will be displayed on the screen. So we ask you, please be patient when you're calling in. You have to be aware that our call center is very busy taking multiple phone calls, seemingly all at the same time. So you may get a busy signal when calling in. If that's the case, please just try calling back in a moment or two. There will be 2 opportunities for oral communications. You have up to 1 minute per speaker for items not on the agenda or on the consent calendar for a period of up to 15 minutes. Remember, you can only participate under oral communications once during the meeting. Also, comments on administrative matters as they are considered allow up to 1 minute per speaker. Comments on public hearings, we allow up to 2 minutes per speaker. Staff will notify you when your time begins, and time limits will be strictly enforced to ensure equal opportunity. We request that speakers keep their remarks brief and limited to the topic of discussion. At the end of the meeting, like I said, we'll have another 15 minutes for oral communication number 2, which will again allow up to 1 minute per speaker. City Clerk, have emails received before 2 p.m. today been processed as supplemental material and provided to the council?
Yes, Your Honor, they have.
Thank you. Then we move on with our agenda. The first item will be our flag salute led by Councilmember Chen, followed by an invocation by Councilmember Griffiths. I ask everybody, please stand.
Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As our world still deals with the pandemic, we pray that people and governments will make the right decisions to balance safety with personal wishes. We look forward to the day when COVID-19 no longer impacts our businesses, our economy, and our lives. As this is our last meeting before the Thanksgiving holiday, may we all find the true meaning of the holiday and stop for a moment to reflect on the things in our lives that we are thankful for. And if we are fortunate enough to have excess, maybe consider helping someone less fortunate. And lastly, as always, tonight, give us the wisdom, guidance, and compassion for all of the important matters that come before us. Amen.
Thank you both. We'll take a report of the city clerk on the posting of the agenda.
Your Honor, this agenda was posted on Monday, November 8th, with a revised agenda posted on Friday, November 12th.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to waive further reading.
Move to waive further readings.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with the Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. Announcement of withdrawn, deferred, and/or supplemental items.
Thank you, Your Honor. Danny Santana, Assistant City Manager. There are supplemental materials available online on the city's website at torranceca.gov for the following items. Item 7, oral communication, correspondence received from the public by 2 p.m. today, and comments received after 2 p.m. and received prior to the end of the meeting will be added to the record. Item 8E for general services and police to authorize a purchase order for cooperative purchase of 14 police motorcycles. Item 8F from Cultural Arts Commission and Community Services to approve the revised mission, vision, and goal statement for the Cultural Arts Commission. And finally, item 9C from the Community Development Department to accept and appropriate an award from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for an emergency housing vouchers program. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Council committee meetings and announcement. Councilmember Coloni.
My sincerest apologies. I ask that we adjourn tonight's council meeting in memory of Vietnam veteran and beloved Torrance community member John Bailey, who passed away on November 4th, 2021 at age 79. John was born in August 1942 in Portland, Oregon. He met his wife Marta in the fall of 1974 when she moved into the same apartment building. They married in the spring of 1975 and had 2 beautiful children, Alyssa and Alan. A doting father, John also had a natural talent for caring for babies and kids. His family recalls that during his time as a flight attendant supervisor for Continental Airlines, if there was a crying baby on his flight, everyone knew that John would be the person to calm the baby effortlessly. In addition to his career with Continental Airlines, John also worked at various aerospace companies, including Moog Aircraft Group in Torrance. In his free time, you could find John in his garden. He had an amazing green thumb. He was helpful, generous, always had a smile on his face, and would talk on any subject. John's love for helping others led him to get involved in the community. He was very active as a community member and worked tirelessly to improve the city of Torrance. John served as the president of the Southeast Torrance Homeowners Association and was active in civic organizations, including the Environmental Quality and Energy Conservation Commission for the city of Torrance, where he served from June 1988 to January 1991. John will be remembered for his love that he had for his family and immense pride he had in doing right by the citizens of the city of Torrance. His daughter, Alyssa, said of her father, "While I will forever feel the painful loss of my father, I will always cherish the happy memories our family shared together. Hold on to the love he had for our family and remember the values he taught me." John was known around the community for working tirelessly to achieve goals, dedicating himself wholeheartedly to what he believed in, and never taking no for an answer, his son Alan said. John is survived by his wife Marta, daughters Alyssa, son Alan, brother Carson, and 3 grandchildren. He will be deeply missed.
He truly will be missed, but he will never be forgotten. John was an icon in our community with his involvement in our city, sometimes behind the scenes, sometimes out front. But in any event, anytime he was asked to do something, he did it, and he did it wholeheartedly. He will certainly be missed by all of us and all of our staff and all of our residents. Can we have a moment of silence in John's? Thank you. Kind of appropriately, good evening. The Armed Forces Day Special Standing Committee met this morning to receive an update on the planning activities for the 61st Armed Forces Day Parade and Celebration. Staff discussed concerns regarding staffing shortage, military participation, and contract timeliness. The Armed Forces Day Special Standing Committee requested staff to work with the City Attorney's Office to explore a potential donation program and risk mitigation plan. In addition, the committee requested staff to explore the use of private vehicles in the parade and negotiate contract deadlines with vendors to a later date in order for the committee to gather more information before moving forward with the planning. This morning, I served as the chair of the Ad Hoc Facility Naming Committee due to the unforeseen absence of Chair Heidi Ann Ashcraft. The Ad Hoc Facility Naming Committee met to review applications for the naming of the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal and to determine recommended name of the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal and forward recommendation name of the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal to City Council for final approval. After input from the public and staff, the committee recommended the name of the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal to be Mary K. Giordano Regional Transit Center. On December 7th, 2021, a detailed council item will be presented to City Council to review and approve the name of the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal. Congratulations. I think the committee did a great job. And lastly, as the chairman of the Federal Legislative Advocacy Committee, I would like to announce that the committee is meeting on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021, that's tomorrow, from 2:30 till 3:30. The committee will be meeting virtually and will take place via teleconference. The purpose of the meeting is to review priority projects for the fiscal year 2022 appropriations. You may participate before the meeting by sending an email to Zulma Gent at zgent, that's Z-G-E-N-T, at torranceca.gov. One more time, zgent, one word, at torranceca.gov. In the subject line, write City Council Federal Legislative Advocacy Committee and include your comments in the body of the email. Those who wish to view and participate in the meeting can join via Zoom using the link on the Federal Legislative Advocacy Committee website. You can find the website by visiting torranceca.gov/government/council-committees and scroll down to Federal Legislative Advocacy. And you can always do a search under the search engine looking for Federal Legislative Advocacy and it'll pop right up. Thank you very much. We move on to community matters, 6A. 6A was a proclamation declaring November 27, 2021 as Small Business Saturday in the city of Torrance. That proclamation was presented earlier in the day. That brings us to oral communication number 1. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items under the consent calendar or items that are not on the agenda. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, City Council cannot act on items raised during public comment, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Speakers under orals are limited to either oral communication number 1 or oral communication number 2, and in any event, no longer than 1 minute per speaker. Do we have anybody who's called into the call center?
Yes, Your Honor, they'll be
Yes,
patched
Mayor,
in.
I'll begin to transfer the call. Carol G., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, it's Carol Gillis. I'm here for the Torrance Theater Company. And once again, we are live again. We do have 4 shows still coming up in January, March, and May, all scheduled. If you go to the Torrance website, www.torrancetheatercompany.com, you'll have access into the 4 shows. The first one's going to be in December, and it's the importance of being earnest. It's a wild new musical, and we are the first time that this show is going to be shown. So come on out and get your tickets. Remember, www.torrancetheatercompany.com. Thank you.
Mayor, that caller disconnected herself. Moving on to the next caller. Akili, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
My name's Keely. I'm with Black Lives Matter.
Mayor, that caller disconnected himself. Moving on to the next caller. Luke M., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, my name's Luke Moscow. I represent the El Nido RC track, and we just wanted to invite some of the council members and anybody from the city and the community to come out on December 4th. We were planning on having a maintenance day at the RC track at El Nido Park. So we would love it if a few council members or anybody from the city would like to come out and take a look at what's going on over there. And we definitely would appreciate it. And second real quick comment, I don't know if it's really necessary for the city to spend like almost $700,000 on 14 motorcycles for the police department. So I just threw that in there real quick. But if you guys can make it out, December 4th, El Nido Park, RC track, from 9 a.m. to about noon. Thank you.
Mayor, moving on to the next caller. Karina K., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, I'm calling to uplift the demands to fire the officers who killed Christopher DeAndre Mitchell, Anthony Chavez, Matthew Concannon, and Brian Kawamoto, Torrance police officers who need to be fired for their misconduct. It's funny that you all can pause for lives that have, expired, or I don't know what the situation is, but you never acknowledge the life of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Not only was his life stolen, but stolen at the hands of your police department. This is shameful. You all should be you all should just be so ashamed. Fuck you all. And all of your tactics for running away, you can run, but you cannot hide. We're coming for your asses. You all will go down for being complicit in covering up the behavior of your police department, and fuck you all for the shit that you're doing. You're gonna fucking lose. We want justice for for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell, and you need to create a civilian oversight commission. So pass that along to your city manager.
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because her time was up. Moving on to the next caller. JL, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Just like the last caller, we are calling and demanding justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. We will not stop. You can try to silence us as many different ways as you can, but we will always overcome. We will overcome your bullshit, and we will get justice. Fire Anthony Chavez, Matthew Concannon, and Brian Kawamoto. Fire them. They are killers, happy cops who do not provide any protection. All they do is terrorize the black and brown community that you guys seem to be totally okay with. And that's why you try to shut us up, because you feel our wrath. You feel the wrath of our ancestors. You know that it's coming down on you. You guys are literally complicit. Every single time you do not do what is right, you are putting a mark on your own legacy. Your grandchildren, your kids will have to answer to the lack of.
Mayor, the caller was disconnected because their time was up. Moving on to the next caller. Mary Ann G., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
I'm calling in solidarity with Sherilyn Haynes and for Christopher, whose life was stolen. Next month, it will be 3 years. If you had gotten that call that night 3 years ago that your child was killed by Torrance Police Department, Anthony Chavez, Matthew Concannon, and Brian Kawamoto would have been fired. You would have created a civilian oversight commission. Instead, when we came to you with these demands, you, as for some semblance of justice for the family and the community, you passively brushed us off at first, then ignored the information and resources we brought to you, then aggressively and often violently imposed all of the things that you could think of to silence us. 3 years later, you continue to resist doing the very most simple things and continue to try to silence us. We will not be silenced. We are not going anywhere. Justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Black Lives Matter. Say his name. Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Say his name.
Mayor, the caller was disconnected because their time was up. Moving on to the next caller. Pork Chop, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, thanks, Katie. I'm very disappointed the mayor started this meeting telling everybody we don't have money for services and this and that. And on the other hand, we have 6 police officers sitting days on movie sets and everything paid by the taxpayer dollars and used taxpayers bought vehicles. And also, if we don't have freaking money, how the freaking hell we buying 10 brand new motorcycles for $500,000? That's sorry. Why don't you explain that? You're lying. And by the way, I'm working on spelling your name. Furry. F-U-R-A. That's how far went I. Make up when you lie. Don't lie to the people. And your name spelled F-U. Ray. F-U-R-A. That's how I spell your name. Now you can say my name.
Thank you, Mr. Turda.
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because his time was up. Moving on to the next caller. Cat B, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
I'm calling in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and the family of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell to once again demand justice in his name. Fire Anthony Chavez, fire Matthew Concannon, fire Brian Kawamoto. They are murderers. They do not deserve to work for the city of Torrance. They do not keep anybody safe. They endanger the lives of Torrance residents. You've had pushing towards 3 years to do this. You were ordered by a grand jury to establish a civilian oversight commission to hold your police accountable, and it shows how little you care about your residents. You've still not done this, and you're still allowing these murderous cops to patrol your streets. They've been given raises. They've been given promotions. It's disgusting. It illustrates how little you value human life, that we still have to do this over pushing 3 years for bare minimum semblance of justice for one young man's life. One young man. He's not the only person who's even murdered by Torrance police.
Mayor, the caller was disconnected because their time was up. We don't have any calls at the moment in queue for oral communications number 1. Thank you.
We'll give it a couple more minutes to see if there's anyone calling in.
Thank you, Mayor.
Call center, do you have any other calls?
No more calls, Mayor, at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to.
Your Honor.
Actually, Mayor, we cannot move on. Under AB 361, if something is listed as a timed amount of time, we have to stay available for that listed time. So I believe it would go till 7:01. But we started that at 6:46.
We shall wait.
Mayor, we do have a caller at the moment. I'll go ahead and unmute her.
Patricia S., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Say his name. Justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Say his name. Justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Say his name. 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 Christopher DeAndre.
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because her time was up, and we are still waiting for more callers to come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Sheila, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
I'm once again calling to demand that you create a civilian oversight commission and fire Matthew Concannon, Anthony Chavez, and Brian Kawamoto. It is absolutely absurd, but also completely within character that you decided to go online for the meeting today. It's no mistake. You are absolutely running and hiding from the accountability and the light that we are shining on the racism that is Torrance, that is Torrance Police Department. 15 officers are currently being investigated because they sent racist, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, and anti-Black messages. This is not a mistake. This is who Torrance PD is, and this is who every single one of you are for allowing it to happen and not doing anything. It is time that you do something, and make no mistake, we will never give up. We will never back down. We will show up no matter what, whether it's online and calling for your...
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because her time was up, and that concludes the 15-minute period for oral communications number 1. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on now with consent calendar. Do any council members wish to pull any items listed under consent calendar? I see none. I'll take a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move to approve the whole consent calendar.
I'll second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. Brings us to administrative matters. 9A from the city manager and transit director. And accept and file transportation committee meeting report. I'll turn this over to Councilmember Matucci, chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mayor. On October 13th, 2021, the City Council Transportation Committee met to review the Torrance Transit System's activities that have occurred since the previous committee meeting, held on February 2nd. Members of the Transportation Committee observed presentations related to the Line 10 extension, Line 13 extension, bus operator recruitments, implementation of the Bus Operator Safety Shield, also known as BOSS, Metro's Fairless System Initiative Update, also known as FSI, update on the Regional Transit Center construction progress, and the update from the Facility Naming Committee. Devin Deming, Interim Deputy Executive Officer for Metro's FSI, attended the meeting virtually to provide a status update. Transit staff will be presenting an item to City Council to address the information regarding the FSI during tonight's meeting. The Public Works and General Services departments continue to move forward with the construction of the Regional Transit Center. The estimated completion of the RTC is the beginning of 2022, we'd hope. Staff provided a timeline for the public to submit applications for the ad hoc facility naming committee to name the RTC. Applications were open to the public from October 3rd all the way through November 2nd. The committee was held this morning, November 16th at 8 a.m. to determine the recommendation to the City Council on the naming of the facility. It is the recommendation of the City Manager and Transit Director that the City Council accept and file the October 13, 2021 Transportation Committee meeting report. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything added by staff?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll take a motion to accept and file.
Move to accept and file.
I'll second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. Takes us to 9B, also from Transit, to approve Torrance Transit System's participation in Regional Fairless System Initiative Pilot Project. From staff.
Great members of the council. Thank you. I'll go up there. Good evening, Mayor Fury, members of the council, James Lee, Transit Department. As Councilmember Matucci mentioned, item 9B is a companion item to item 9A, and staff is requesting that your honorable body approve Torrance Transit's participation in the Regional Fairless System Initiative, or FSI, pilot project for students grades K through 14. Staff has brought this item to your honorable body numerous times. We've discussed it, and it was most recently reviewed once again at the Transportation Committee meeting in October. The pilot program has already launched in certain areas of Los Angeles County and is scheduled to last for 23 months with the goal of helping students and their families as the region recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic. There is a regional fair revenue sharing program in progress, and Torrance Transit is a part of that program under the Transit Access Pass, or the TAP. And staff is available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Are there any questions from the council? I see none. Is anybody from the public called in?
No transfer in the call. Craig Foltz, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now. Mr. Foltz?
I'm still connected from the Section 8 section. I didn't have anything to add to this topic.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Foltz
thank
was
you.
on for consent, but the item was not pulled. He's not on this item, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
We have no further callers, Your Honor.
Okay, then I'll take a motion to approve the Torrance Transit System's participation in a Regional Fearless System Initiative Pilot Project.
So moved.
I second that.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item is item 9C from Community Development to accept an appropriate award from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for Emergency Housing Vouchers Program. Expenditure is $582,360, non-general fund funding. Ms. Cessna.
Linda Sessna, Community Development. We are asking you to accept an appropriate $582,360 for the Emergency Housing Voucher Program. This is a new Section 8 program, and it's budgeted separately from our regular Section 8, so we needed to get this handled as quickly as possible because we do have actually people who have started leasing up these vouchers, which is pretty awesome. So this program is targeted for homeless folks in the community, and it works through LAHSA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services, and through Harbor Interfaith. They identify folks that they think are appropriate for the program, and then they're referred through. Ultimately, we're hoping that we'll be able to use this program to help move folks out of the pallet shelters once those are up and running. Just to tell you a little bit more, the Section 8 program currently, we have gotten 10 VASH, Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing Vouchers recently, which is a new program for us. 9 of those are leased. The 10th is in the process of being leased. We are in the process of being awarded, knock on wood, another 15 VASH vouchers. These provide veterans housing services, and they also provide supportive services to make sure that they can maintain the housing. We also have the 33 emergency housing vouchers that we have just been awarded. And we'd just like to take a moment to thank our housing staff, D.R. Richardson and Julia Smith, and our housing specialists, Cindy Ramirez and Carol Lastly, who have been working really hard to make all this happen. And this is the first time that we've been able to expand our Section 8 program to assist more people in a number of years. So this is a really good thing from our point of view.
Congratulations for getting this award. This is really transformative, perhaps, in a time we really need it. Are there any questions from the council? I see nothing but happiness. Is there anybody called in? On item 9C is in Charles.
Mayor, we don't have nobody in the queue for item 9C at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Then, in that case, I'll take a motion to accept and appropriate the award from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for Emergency Housing Vouchers Program.
So moved.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. That brings us to City Council oral communication number 2. Again, this portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, City Council cannot act on items raised during public comment, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Speakers under orals are limited to either oral communication number 1 or oral communication number 2, and in any event, no longer than 1 minute per speaker, And anybody who's called in previous on orals is precluded from this portion. Is there anybody on the call center?
Yes, Mayor, I'll begin to transfer the call. Thank you. Stacy R., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
So I have a question, and the question is, why hasn't this council created a civilian oversight? I will wait for the response, but like you said, you guys have an opportunity to answer our question. Why hasn't this council created a civilian oversight committee? It's been over 3 years, and this has not been done. There's been over 2,000 emails about this, and it hasn't been done. So the lack of you guys not doing your bare minimum of your job doesn't make any sense to the people that are asking you and demanding this for the safety of your community. So the fact that you don't have even the safety of your community as a priority is quite baffling. So again, why haven't you guys created a civilian oversight? Secondly, to this very needed question, why haven't you guys fired?
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because our time was up. We have another caller coming in. Please hold. Mayor, no calls coming in. The previous caller was a caller that had called back during first oral, so we don't have any callers right now. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have to sit here and wait till 7:25. Just because of this.
Hello? Torrance Patriot, you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and this is Torrance Patriot. How y'all doing? I just want to say I stand in solidarity with our police, our firefighters, our city workers, and all first responders. I think you guys do a great job, and you keep our city safe. And to the Black Lives Matter people, your cowboy was in a stolen car that he stole. This guy had a rap sheet spanning maybe 5 years prior. So, you know, I don't want to hear any more of his name. Okay? You want to call him something? Mr. Cowboy, his gang name? Go ahead. But Black lives do not matter. any more or any less than any other life. God bless America. Thank you.
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because our time was up. Moving on to the next caller. Corina B., you are now unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now.
Hello?
Your 1 minute starts now, ma'am.
Okay, hi. I'm currently on the bus, so please bear with me. But speaking of being on the bus, as I walked on the bus, there was a pile of human shit, literally human shit on the bus. And somebody stepped in that. And I was thinking, like, dang, like, what's worse than stepping in human shit? And that's you guys. What's worse than stepping in human shit? The fact that you guys haven't created a civilian oversight committee. The fact that you guys haven't created, or you guys haven't fired officers Matthew Concannon and Anthony Chavez. The fact that the previous caller said Black Lives Don't Matter, paused, and then said more than everybody else. That's literally worse than human shit. The fact the shit on the floor in this bus is more humane than you guys. How sad is that? How sad is that? You guys need to do your job. The fact that I have to call you guys in a predicament like this shows how inhumane you are. The fact that you guys...
Mayor, that caller was disconnected because our time was up. We'll continue to wait for other callers. Thank you.
Mayor, we have a caller on the line. Michael, you're unmuted. Your 1 minute starts now. Michael?
So I'm here to demand a civilian oversight commission of the police department and fire the officers Matthew Concannon, Anthony Chavez, and Brian Kawamoto. Justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Y'all continue to be on y'all's bullshit, and we are not going anywhere. We are demanding justice for Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Sister Sherilyn, we love you. Black Lives Matter.
Mayor,
That caller disconnected himself. Mayor, the 15 minutes for oral communications number 2 has ended, and this concludes orals number 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on with council orals. First one up is Councilmember Griffiths.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I get 15 minutes. Back in December of 2017, our city council passed a long-desired initial historic preservation ordinance with the goal to provide tools to protect some of the historical residential properties, primarily in the original downtown Torrance area. We also created a historic preservation commission, whose job it is to help facilitate historic preservation. However, in the 4 years now since the adoption of the ordinance, no one in the public has come forward to actively pursue a historic preservation option under our new ordinance. And from what I have heard from some, is that our ordinance is potentially too heavy-handed in what it would take to create protections provided by the ordinance. So with the council's concurrence, I would like to request that staff look into options for modification to our historic preservation ordinance and programs to determine if any changes can be made that would encourage the public's participation in our desire to have some of our city protected under this ordinance. I've seen firsthand in other cities the benefits of historic preservation and the creation of historic districts. An additional benefit which might be of interest to those who might consider creating a historic district is that the new housing bill, SB 9, specifically excludes historic districts from the densification that would otherwise be allowed by this new state bill taking effect January 1st. Staff could work up recommendations, have the Historical Preservation Commission review and revise, and recommend options for our consideration. Other considerations would be to possibly expand historic preservation options citywide and possibly to non-residential properties as well. I'd like to see if I could get concurrence for that. Great, thank you very much. And then to the general public, I would just want to wish everybody a really, really wonderful Thanksgiving. It's been a difficult time for so many of us, and this would be a time for us to recollect on all the good things that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Connie.
Thank you, Mayor. And I too just want to wish everyone a very peaceful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Matucci.
Thank you, Mayor. Just happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and take this opportunity to maybe call a loved one that you've lost touch with or a friend, and try to reconnect. You know, there's a lot of lonely souls out there that need support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walser.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two events coming up I think are worthy of participation from all of our constituents. The first one on Thanksgiving Day is the 41st Annual Harry Sutter Memorial Turkey Trot Run. I encourage everyone to come out. It's a fun run. It's about 3 miles. You have the opportunity to participate with hundreds of your neighbors and also have an opportunity to win prizes and participate. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is this is the Downtown Merchants Association. They're having something new. It's called the Holiday Stroll, and that's on December 1st from 5 to 8. And it's only 3 hours downtown Torrance, where I believe Santa will be there. There'll be some other entertainment, and shops will be open and other things available for people to enjoy and participate the holiday that's coming up. Outside of that, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Councilmember Chen.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to wish everyone a great Thanksgiving and ask that each one of us take time to think of 1, 2, 3 things that we're very grateful about. We're grateful to be here, to have come along all this time. And I think that would create a thankful spirit between now and the end of the year. And I will see you at the turkey trot. Thank you.
Is that a threat or a promise? Yeah, he's a rabbit. You don't want to chase after him. He can go way too fast and way too long. Well, thank you again for your continued patience and support as we make adjustments to better serve our community. Your active participation and interest in staying informed really help shape our community. I wanted to report that last night I attended and assisted in a coffee that was sponsored by our Assembly Member Al Marzucci. And there was more than 80 people who were involved as participants in it. It was spirited conversations, and a lot of it had to do with the city of Torrance. I want to give a shout out and thank you, Michelle Ramirez, our Community Development Director. She gave me a heads up on some of the legalities that I would be hearing from, and sure enough, I heard from folks from the Skyline Mobile Park Estates up on Pacific Coast Highway, and about some rent increases they're experiencing, and we certainly gave them some guidance on what they can do and what is happening there, and I appreciate what community development has thus far done for those people, continuing that communication. I forgot to mention that Ram Shaparian, our city manager, was also involved in the coffee. It was a virtual coffee, so we could do it from all over, and he was very helpful as we went through. There was one issue that was brought up that I had to confess. I live right by it, and that's the Caltrans 405 project that is ongoing right now. And there was a number of complaints from people who live adjacent to the 405 who were complaining they got really no notice at all that that was going to occur, the project of that size. And I had to admit that I live in that neighborhood, and I knew it was going to happen. I just did not know when, because I received no information about it as well. So we're going to reach out to Caltrans and ask them to better inform, maybe have meetings with neighborhoods when they're going to be that impactful, because there was lots of noise and lots of dust involved. And you know, when we do a project, the city of Torrance, we always give prior notice so that people know what's going to happen, and it alleviates some of the problems. But I think we had directed the people in the right direction so that they're not as angry, but they had some good ideas, and maybe Caltrans should reach out to those folks and talk to them. This week is United Against Hate Week, and Los Angeles County is coming together for LA versus Hate. LA versus Hate is a community-centered program designed to support all residents of Los Angeles County, led by the Human Relations Commission. Los Angeles versus Hate partners with community partners from all 5 county districts, representing a diverse coalition of voices committed to ending hate. The goals of the campaign are to address the normalization of hate and inspire people to stand up to it, build understanding about what constitutes a hate act and how to report it, and support individuals and communities as they heal from the trauma of hate. And I think everybody knows that we've experienced an awful uptick in what appear to be hate crimes, at least hate incidents, and it goes all across the board to every ethnic minority, ethnic group, and it's something that I can only think that was exacerbated by the pandemic and people being requested to stay home and not being able to do the things that they usually do for recreation. So hopefully we get back on track. But by tracking and reporting hate, we can ensure that resources are allocated appropriately, that those targeted by hate receive the support they need, that offenders are held accountable, and that together we can build respectful and resilient communities. You can learn more about the program and how to participate at LAVS Hate. One word, LAVSHate.org. As I mentioned earlier tonight, let's continue to practice our mask wearing and healthy hygiene to promote a healthy holiday season. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media, and for our daily updates, tune into City Cable or torranceca.gov and watch live COVID-19 Today, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m., and Weekends in Torrance, which airs every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m. And there's lots of, all of these are replayed on YouTube at the City Cable page on YouTube, so I encourage you to check out to get some great information of what's occurring in our city. I'd also like my colleagues, I want to wish everyone and their families a happy and safe Thanksgiving. May all the good things of life be yours, not only at Thanksgiving, but throughout the coming year. Once again, thank you for joining us tonight, and have a good evening. Take a motion to adjourn.
Once again, in memory of Mr. John Bailey, I move that we adjourn tonight's City Council meeting to Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. for closed session, with the regular meeting commencing at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried with Councilmember Ashcraft absent.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. And for the record, Mr. Matucci came closest to the number.
The beach. Met the locals, some were friendly,